And I'm going to announce the beginning of the call. Welcome, everybody. It's Monday, November the 8th. This is the Open-Hearted Practice Group with Jim and Jory. And I'm feeling, all of a sudden I felt a little tender as I checked in, because our class today is on self-acceptance. And it's such a tender topic for me. So much of my own personal growth journey has been about self-acceptance. So I'm hopeful that we'll be able to offer you some skills today to make it more fun to love yourself. How are you, Jory?
Yeah, I had a perfect opportunity to have my travel through self-acceptance with my emails this week. Not only did I make mistakes, but I made a mistake even when I tried to correct the mistake and sent it out. And I just wanted to find a pillow and put it over my head for a while and hide. And so this is a perfect class for me. And I'm more than that, it's a perfect class for us to have, because our relationship with ourselves is the most important relationship we have. Until we have a healthy relationship with ourselves, it's hard to have a healthy relationship with others. So thank you all for showing up today to this very important class. Welcome, welcome. And I do regret any confusion that happened for you as a result of the errors I made when I sent out my message. And wow, you came anyway. Thanks for trusting that it's still worth coming to.
Thanks, Jory. I'm really glad you're here with me. That's the main thing. And Jory and I, we often give a chance to have a little meeting before we meet with you all and try to talk about what we're going to do. And we did that today, and I like how we did it. I didn't walk away from that particular meeting with any sense of separateness. I really appreciate our way we collaborated, and now we get to find out whether it works or not. We never know. You know, we love trying new things and getting feedback, and so we'll find out how we are today. If you're here for the very first time today, I'm really especially want to extend a warm welcome to you. There's no expectation that you know anything about nonviolent communication, and there's no expectation that you do anything. You can just be here and observe, or you can play, or you can leave, or whatever works for you. We want you to have the experience of freedom here, to come and go as you please, as it meets your needs. What we usually do at these classes is we practice what Marshall Rosenberg, the founder of nonviolent communication, called the 3 modes, M-O-D-E-S, the 3 modes of nonviolent communication. And the first one is self-connection, where we get grounded in the practice of NBC within ourselves, building a life-serving system in ourselves. That's pretty much our theme for the day. And then we'll also get chances to practice empathy, which is the listening part of nonviolent communication, and honesty, which is the speaking part of NVC. So we do all those things here in the large group, the main room. We do that. We also do it in small groups. So we're going to be giving people the opportunity to practice in a small group as well. If you don't want to be in a small group, you can do what some folks have done, which is to put the equal mark in front of your name. And that just lets me or Jory know, whoever's making the small groups, I think it's Jory today, that you don't want to be in a small group. We'll put you in one anyway, but it'll be with all the other equals, and you'll be equal with all the equals. And there's no expectation that you do anything there other than whatever you want to do, write, sleep, read, rest, whatever you want to do. And then you'll automatically come back to the main room when the breakout sessions are over. And we hope to have 2 today. Most of the work in this most of the play in this class is in small groups. There's not a whole lot of teaching, a little bit, but not much, because you're the best person to teach yourself, not us. So we'll
Yeah,
start.
we will do a little, lead you through a process before that'll set you up for your groups. So there'll be some of that.
Okay, so we'll do a little self-connection, then put you in small groups for some to do a check-in. So for this part, you don't need to worry about trying to take notes or anything like that. Just begin right where you are, which is you're probably looking at some kind of device and looking at a bunch of little pictures of human beings on the screen. So just bring mindfulness to what you're already doing. And ask yourself, why are you doing this? What's the good reason, as Marshall called it? What's the good reason that you would choose to be on a Zoom call today when there's 10,000 other things that you could be doing? I'll just make some guesses based on previous experience of some of the needs that might be motivating you to be here. Maybe learning NVC in this case. Maybe learning is important to you. Or maybe it's personal growth. Maybe it's community. Maybe it's a sense of belonging, that this is a place where you can trust that you belong, that you're welcome. Maybe you're here in the interests of peace or nonviolence. Maybe it's about empathy for you. Maybe it's about love. Maybe it's something else. Whatever word that you use to describe it, just settle into that, the energy of underlying that word. Just rest for a minute in the energy of the needs that are important to you in being here. One last question for the self-connection exercise is, where's your power? In other words, what can you do that will make it more likely that you'll get the needs met that you're hoping to get here? What can you do? What request could you make of yourself or somebody else that could help you get your needs met? So if you decided to close your eyes during that exercise, you can allow them to open if you'd like. And reconnect to our community here, back to the screen. I wish we were all in my living room like the old days, but this is good enough for today. I'm really glad to see all your faces, new faces and familiar faces, and also brand new faces. So in a moment, we're going to open up small breakout rooms, usually 3 people in the room. There might be one group of 4 or one group of 2. And in the small group, the idea is that you will have about 10 minutes. So each person will have about 3 minutes to talk. And just share your name, where you're calling from, and what are the needs that brought you here today? Why did you choose to come here? Kind of express what you learned about yourself when we did this exercise. So your name, where you're calling from, the needs that are alive in you when it's your turn. And then when you're listening to others, the request is that you just listen with an open heart and open ears. There's no need to use your mouth when you listen. You can just be present, the practice of presence. So Jory, whenever you're ready, we'll do that. And we'll set the timer for 9 minutes plus 2. So that just means that there'll be a timer in the upper right-hand corner of your screen that'll count down from 9 minutes. But it usually takes us a little time to adjust groups, people come and go and so forth. So we have a 2-minute buffer so that everybody has about 3 minutes to express. And then the final request before you go to the small groups is turn your camera on in the small groups. We get feedback from folks that it feels so much safer, more safe, and more connecting if you're willing to turn your camera on, even if it's just for a moment, to express why you can't have it on otherwise. Like maybe you're at work or for whatever reason. Just let folks know why you can't have your camera on. And that will help people. I think that'll contribute to a sense of safety and connection. Jory, you ready? You're muted, Jory.
I am, and if you came in after the self-connection exercise started, it'll take me a few minutes to put you into a room. And with that, we'll open it up and see you in a bit. Aloha.
Okay. Welcome back. Joy, you might want to turn the light on in your office there. You can tell the sun is setting in Maui. So after the small group, we usually just take a few minutes to find out if there's anything that anybody would like to say to the large group to be more fully present. Is there anything that you would like to share with our whole community, which is now at 65 people? Oh, would you do that? You'd raise your hand. And if you've never been here before, the way that you raise your hand is at the bottom of your screen. There's a little smiley face that says reactions. If you click that, there's a place where you can raise your hand like Gail just did. So go
Yeah,
ahead,
hi, Gail.
I hope it's okay in my group to say something. It's somebody's birthday.
Oh,
Does somebody want to cop to their birthday being today in the group?
happy birthday.
Only if you want to be celebrated. Feel free to say it's me if it's you. Not me, you.
Hi, Don.
Happy birthday
Don.
to Dawn.
Oh, Dawn,
Yeah.
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to
Thank
you.
you.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday,
dear Dawn.
Happy
Happy birthday
birthday
to you.
Oh, boy.
and many more.
Yeah, yay.
Hey,
Thank
Thank you,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
may your year be filled with love and joy and delight and whatever else you would like to have it be filled with.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
wonderful to celebrate people.
Is there anything
And
else?
then I see Mika. Did I pronounce it right?
Yes,
Thank you.
I want to share that I'm feeling happy and connected, and every time I join the lesson, I'm surprised the people from all over the world, and then we can connect from all over the world. and sharing. So I want to thank you for the opportunity that it makes this possible.
Thank you.
Lovely.
It's a
Thank
pleasure,
you.
really a pleasure. I get
Yeah.
so much out of these meetings, hanging out with you
Yeah.
all. I decided
And
very early in my NVC career that the only way I was going to get this was to teach it. And because when I am in front of people sharing this, then it really heightens my my intention to really be present and to practice and to model what we're trying to share with you. So it really helps me a lot. That's why I'm here. Anybody else? Okay. So I'm going to share my screen with you again and add a little color to our presentation. And I think Jory's going to, in just a moment, she's going to share a little bit about her journey with self-acceptance. First, I just want to put up this. This is the, we've been going through these 28 skills called the Pathways to Liberation Matrix of Self-Assessment. And so today is, I think, the fourth skill, self-acceptance. And that's the definition, accepting oneself with unconditional caring. So just let that into your heart for a moment. And Jory, was there something you'd like to share about self-acceptance?
funny you should ask, because the last couple days have been a great opportunity for me to be stretching my muscle of self-acceptance. In particular, the emails that I sent out, not only did I make a mistake with the first one, I made a mistake with the second one, and I wanted to hide under my desk for the rest of my life for a while until I was able to actually sit with myself and practice what I preach around self-acceptance, but just really to acknowledge that it's challenging when we don't meet our own expectations. And for some of us, there's actually trauma around accepting ourselves because we've had scary experiences in our lives with other people. And so there's that trauma that goes on. But self-acceptance is such an important part of having a healthy life. It's without self-acceptance, we don't actually show up fully. So I really am thrilled that we're doing this topic today. And I'm thrilled that I have had the opportunity to work with self-acceptance long enough that I know what I need, and I seek support sometimes in getting that, just like I hope we will demonstrate today for all of you too. So thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to the place where we put our oxygen mask on ourselves before assisting others. And with that, I think I'll be quiet given how loud the bird is outside my window.
Thanks, Jory. I'm so glad to have been present for your journey. You know, as a partner, I noticed that when my partner is upset, it's easy for me to get upset. My heart just breaks a little bit. So it just tells me where my edges are around acceptance and self-acceptance. When I really long for Jory to be happy and for all of you to be happy, including me. And I realize that self-acceptance is at the heart of moving towards that happiness. And so I'll just be quiet while you look at this pathway to the liberation of self-acceptance. You would, if this is the first time looking at a chart like this, it goes from left to right. And so I just want to say a little bit about my own journey. I think I really loved myself a lot when I was a child. I don't ever remember feeling mad at myself or upset about a mistake I made. I didn't move into that kind of a habitual reactive pattern of self-judgment until I hit puberty. And I think that's common. I think a lot of us start when we kind of reinvent ourselves chemically, biochemically, then often it changes our brains too. And it coincided for me with moving from one side of town to the other in near Atlanta, Georgia, where I went from being a big fish in a little pond to being a teeny tiny minnow in a really big pond. When I went from a elementary school that had 7 grades to a middle school that started with 7th grade and went through 9th grade. And I was already a little kid. I was very small and slight as a child. And so I got a lot of bullying, and I internalized all that bullying. I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought I had a big nose. I thought I was too short, too smart, too this, too that. And so every time I made a mistake, I would judge myself. And those habitual reactive patterns and the trauma that I absorbed and didn't really have any way to process as a 12-year-old, it really hurt me. And I didn't know how to handle the hurt. You know, when you're that age, you don't really want to talk to your parents about it. At least I didn't. And so I actually got into drinking. Can you believe in the 7th grade, I started figuring out how to get a hold of alcohol to try to numb that pain. And luckily it was just kind of a weekend thing. And I grew out of it relatively soon in college because I didn't want to pay the price anymore. And I started working on myself in other ways. I started noticing the self-judgments and how it was damaging me and hurting me and robbing me of my life. And so I started a path of self-acceptance. And we're going to share with you one strategy of working on self-acceptance today, so that we can learn that whatever we feel, whatever we think, whatever we need and whatever we do, we're okay. And when we come out of the other end of a little shame attack or guilt attack or something like that, then if we follow the process of self-compassion, we'll end up at the other side with a sense of being clear and being caring for ourselves. So at the heart of that is needs. And last week we had a fun time getting into small groups where we made a list of needs, and then I promised that I would put them all into a list and make a word cloud. So without really talking about needs too much today, again, I will share the screen with you and put the word cloud up. This was your creation. The way it works is the larger the word, the more often it was reported by the groups. I think there were 15 small groups. And I didn't manipulate this at all. And it was so interesting to me that connection was right in the center of everything. So just notice how you feel as you savor this list of universal human needs. We'll be using these needs as we learn to move towards self-acceptance today. And this will be, eventually this will be on the website with the recording, so you'll be able to see it. So just pause there for a moment and see if there's anything that anybody would like to say before we move into the practice. Okay, that's same thing. So we're gonna do a little written practice first. And so I'm gonna guide you through a few questions. If something comes up and you don't understand something and you want to ask me a question for clarity, just raise your hand and let me know what your question is. So the first question is, I'm gonna invite you to do something really uncomfortable, which because of the way our our society is structured, I have some rank and some power over you right now, right? I'm the teacher and you're the student. So it's probably unconscious, but we all live in this kind of, we're changing rank in different places in our life at different times. And here you are, and you might experience yourself as having a lower rank than me because I'm the one with the Zoom controls and I've got more NVC experience, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm going to invite you to try to equalize this in kind of an interesting way. I want you to judge me. So I want you to come up with a moral judgment, what Marshall Rosenberg called a moral judgment. I want you to think about something that I do that you don't like and write down the judgment. It might have the form of Jim is, and then you fill in the blank with some kind of a diagnosis of me. Or maybe it's some kind of a moral rule, Jim should, or Jim shouldn't. Write down some kind of a moral judgment of me. I'll give you one more specific example that I heard from somebody. Jim dominates Jory in groups. So that's a really great moral judgment there. I'll be quiet for a minute while you finish writing down a moral judgment. Don't need the whole story, it's probably one sentence. Don't worry, you won't have to share this with anybody. I won't ask you to judge me publicly. So I think most people are done as I look on the screen. So now comes a little bit of an opportunity to check in with yourself. Do you have the same judgment of yourself? In other words, do you have a rule that you shouldn't fill in the blank, just like Jim? So do you have a rule like, I shouldn't nominate others? Only it would be your judgment instead. So write down whatever the rule is, or the law, or the moral that you should follow. And then say it to yourself 3 times. So it would be like this. I shouldn't dominate others. I shouldn't dominate others. I shouldn't dominate others. And then as you say it to yourself, notice the sensations in your body. What do you notice in terms of sensations? And first notice it, and then name it. If there's a name for that feeling. Maybe there's an emotion that you feel. So first notice it and then name it for yourself. You could put some of those feelings that you're noticing in the chat. That'll give me some feedback to let me know whether we're kind of on the same page, so to speak. And I see what kind of feelings are arising in you. I'll read them for the recording. Despair, teary, heavy, uncomfortable, tightness, ramped up, constriction in my throat, fear, tightness in chest, sadness, blamed, sad, curious, shame, crushed. A couple people feel more relaxed or connected, more acceptance, some tension, tired. So then follow your feelings to your needs. In other words, what's the signal telling you is important to you? So like, I notice I feel guilty and ashamed when I tell myself I shouldn't dominate others or jury. So just let myself feel that feeling, and I wonder what's the need in me? What do I value? What's important to me? And I value partnership and cooperation. But then just write down whatever the need is that's alive in you. And again, if you'd like to put the need, the words that point to the needs in the chat, that'd be great. Acceptance. Well-being. Compassion. Authenticity. Inner peace. Competence, self-respect, to be seen and witnessed, to believe in yourself. Ease, self-respect, partnership, confidence, honesty, ease, efficiency, growth, friendship, warmth, companionship. And then turn your need into a sentence like, I love it when there is. I love it when there is, and then put the need word in. I love it when there is. So make yourself a sentence or two like that. I love it when there is. If you don't like the word love, you could use the word enjoy or value or appreciate or grateful. I love it when there's honesty. And someone wrote, I love it when I receive a reply. And when you receive a reply, what does that mean to you? Is it that it means that you matter, that you belong, that you are a part of community, something like that? See if you can take it a little deeper. I love it when there's mutual appreciation. Matter, belonging. I love it when there's support. And just keep saying this phrase to yourself. And maybe you like saying some of the other needs as they come by. Acknowledging that these needs are universal, even though it may not be the need that's alive in you at this moment. I'll bet everybody here loves support, matter, belonging, honesty, so forth. But when you get your sentence, just say it at least 3 times to yourself. And as you say it to yourself, add warmth or caring, quality of caring to your voice, as if you're speaking to a precious 4-year-old that you love and cherish. Speak to yourself with the tone of a kind grandparent, parent, kindergarten teacher, neighbor, friend. Talk to yourself with warmth. And then as you continue to say it to yourself, notice how you feel. What do you notice in your body now? Paying attention again first to sensations. And then see what other feelings and emotions arise as you talk to yourself in this way. And notice I feel calm, alert, compassionate. I'm reading now tenderness, release, relaxation, energy, and excitement. Heart opening, relief. Wow. Isn't it amazing that how we talk to ourselves really matters? What we pay attention to really matters. Warmth, gratitude, calm, moved, ease, some tears. Self-efficacy. Like you have power, the power to move the world, influence the world. Warmth. So now, keeping the awareness of the feeling in your body, remember that judgment that you had of me before. And see if anything's different. Especially if you can make it specific, like what's one specific thing that I might have done or not done that triggers your judgment. And notice how you feel. As you see that this other person might be doing something that you don't like, You might feel separate again, that's fine. It's okay if you feel angry again, or hurt, or upset in any way. It just means you repeat the process again. You go with that new feeling, connect it to your need, and enjoy the energy of that need. I love it when, and just repeat it. But if you don't feel separate, then you just enjoy, maybe it's a feeling of compassion. Like if I notice that somebody else is doing something that I judge as dominating, I feel sad. That's the feeling that comes up. So this is like mourning. I'm just feeling sad that we human beings, we sometimes behave in a way that looks like domination to me. I'm sad about that. I feel compassion for the person that appears to be being dominated. And I feel compassion for the dominator too, that probably they suffer domination as well. If I feel separate, then I just repeat the process. I transform that judgment, that moral judgment, into a value judgment. Yeah, so Ching Ching writes, I feel more open to hear Jim's need when he was doing that. So that's empathy. Another word for empathy is a sense of acceptance of how another person might be. So let's just pause here and see if there's any questions about what we did or any comments about what we did. Yeah. So someone asks in the chat, can I please summarize that last part as I got distracted? Yeah. So the idea is the last part is once you have connected to the need, then you imagine the behavior that triggered you in the first place, that you judged as wrong or bad or inappropriate or whatever. And then you just notice if there's been a shift in how you feel because you did this self-empathy practice. And if there was, then you just enjoy that sense of openness or compassion that you might have cultivated. And if you still notice that you feel separate or angry or irritated or annoyed or something like that, then you can choose to go through the process again. Connect that annoyance or irritation to another need and express how much you love it when that need is met. You can repeat that as many times as you like. You can also choose to stop if it's not working for you, because there's lots of other ways to do this self-compassion work.
I see that Leslie has her hand up.
Go ahead, Leslie. Thanks, Tori.
Yeah, I wanted to say it was so interesting. I felt a shift to compassion, and I realized that my judgment was a projection of something I don't like about myself, and that being self-accepting helps me accept the other person, you in this case. And that's so magical. Thank you. That was really amazing.
Yeah, I'm so glad that that's what you got. That was my intention. That was the takeaway that I was hoping for. Yeah. Nari writes, I can now appreciate Jim and his human imperfection. Nari's known me for 15 years. She knows exactly how imperfect I am. And have it not having anything to do with me. Yeah. That's a quality of clarity that I enjoy too. Thanks, Nari. So we're going to practice in groups of 3. I'm going to put the instructions in the chat. It's slightly different than what we did, but really close, because you'll be doing it with somebody else rather than just with yourself. So, and the numbers don't show up. Isn't that interesting? So that's the first 4 steps. And I'm chunking it like this because they all won't fit into one chat. I'm also going to share my screen with you while you're in the group. So all 12 steps will be there. So there's all the steps. So everybody has them in the chat, 3 chunks. There'll be 3 different roles in the small groups. So the 3 roles are the guide, the explorer, and the timekeeper. So obviously the timekeeper will keep track of time. There'll be about 8 minutes for each exploration, 8 minutes. So somebody who has an iPhone or stopwatch or something like that can be the timekeeper. And then the guide is the person who's going to be asking the questions with empathy and openness to outcome. And the explorer is going to be taking a look at a judgment. And we'll do it for 24 minutes plus 2. So it'll be a total of 26 minutes. So it'll be till the top of the hour here in Hawaii, the bottom of the hour in India. And you can call for help in your small group. There's a little button that says help, and either Joy or I will come into your small group to see if we can give you some help if you call for help. Go ahead, Sudha.
What I wanted, I noticed that in the statement after identifying my own feelings and needs, the next step is I love it when there is ...
Yes. Right.
I noticed that the sentence is not I love it when I experience cooperation, or so I'm taking the I out of it really. I love it when there is honesty. I love it when there is self-belief. I love it when there is confidence, rather than I love it when I am confident.
Yes. Yes. And that's a choice that I made. It may not work for you. You might want to keep yourself in there, but I like making the need impersonal. And so then I don't feel responsible for it anymore. I just love it when it's met. I just love it when this need arises. I even love the need when it's not met. So it's a way that I can kind of feel some sense of peace or inner peace, whether I'm doing anything or not. So it gets me off the hook as the one who always has to be the one to perform.
Yeah.
But you can play with the
I love that. I think that's very significant for me.
Oh, good.
Just to know that I love it as a need.
Great. I'm really glad it works for me. I learned this from Mary McKenzie, this little self-empathy technique. I find it to be maybe the most powerful self-empathy technique that I've ever learned. I love it when. So thank you, Mary. Deborah. I see your hand is up, but there you go.
Hi. So I'm a little lost because I thought the email says it starts at 7:30, but it seems like you've been going a while. 7:30 my time, Pacific time.
Yeah, we had some errors in our email this week. We started an hour ago, so I apologize for the miscommunication.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Well, I'm just coming in now too. So, all right. So you've been going in for an hour.
Yeah, because of the time change, Hawaii doesn't change times, but the rest of the mainland of the United States change times. So we always have this happen every month, and we try to be really careful to make sure it didn't happen, and it didn't work this time either. So we will start for the next 5 months. It'll be at 6:30 Pacific time. Go ahead, Nari.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My volume was hidden by my so we do this for 24 minutes. Do we each switch roles? Do we have timed for each person, or is it just one person the entire time?
8 minutes for each person to try it. That would be the goal. Groups do what they do. You know, we don't know what actually happens in the small groups. So you guys have a lot of autonomy to do what you want to do. But that's the intention, is everybody has 8 minutes. Go ahead, Siva.
Thank you. I would love it if I could be in a group with Nicolanda.
Nikilananda. Okay, maybe Jory can adjust the group.
Can you repeat? I said it wrong.
Nikilananda. Nikilananda.
Nicolanda.
Call him Nick. Respond to Nick. Saint Nick. And Nikilananda.
Nick.
Okay. So Jory, are we ready for the small groups?
I was, but now I'm trying to make that change. So I know you can keep talking, Jim. That's good.
Yes, please, let me have the opportunity to dominate you. My pleasure.
Jim, I'm also confused about the time.
Yeah,
So next Monday,
Yeah.
I'm in Pacific time.
We'll start at 6:30 Pacific time for the next 5 months.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Zohar.
Oh, I can't find Steve. Okay.
Hi, I'm also one of those that joined just 5-10 minutes ago. So will it be possible to either have the file available with all the process, or if you can just summarize it?
Yes, I will put it. I'll put the steps up on the screen while you're in your breakout room. In fact, let me do that right now. So let me teach you guys a little magic trick about Zoom, because some people got irritated when I did this before. So see how now your screen is dominated by the needs chart that we made last week. You can change. You can click on the if you look at the top of the little. For me, it shows up as a line of people. And you can click it and make it either a line or a grid. And you can make the grid bigger or smaller by dragging the lower left-hand corner. So you can adjust the size of the people in your group so that you can see them better. You can play with that for a minute. I'll say it again. You have your choice of either looking at the grid view, which is like, in my case, now it shows up as 4x4. But if I drag that lower left-hand corner, I can make it 5x5 or 2x5 or whatever size I want it to be, so that I can see people and I can see what's on my screen. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm ready to go into the groups, but Siva, did you leave and come back? Because now I can't find your name in here.
And can I ask a question before you send us into room?
Yeah, I just want to hear Siva's answer to my question so I can be doing that well. Siva, did you leave and come back?
No, I don't think she did.
Okay, I can't find you in
I
this
think
list.
she came in very recently, so she may not show up on the list yet.
Okay.
We had some people.
Okay.
Go ahead, Francesca.
You said that we could move something by what we see up on the top, but I don't see what you mentioned at the top. Right now it says live transcription closed captioning has been enabled. Who can see this transcript and live on YouTube?
Yeah, let me share my screen again. You see how when I share my screen, things change a little bit. Now you see the needs chart and most of the people went away.
Yeah.
Okay, so
and what I see up at the top is you're viewing Jim Mansky's screen and view options. Is it view options, or who can see this transcript?
Yeah, don't worry about the transcript. It's the little thing where it says if you move your cursor over it, sometimes it says show grid video or thumbnail video at the very top of the pictures. So you see where your hand is up and where Nikilananda's hand is up.
Okay, see, show grid video.
Yeah.
And then what?
Then the lower left-hand corner of the grid, you can make make it bigger or smaller. So you can.
Oh, okay.
Okay, got it?
Yep. Thank you.
Welcome.
So just for clarity, Jim, you said we stay in groups of 3, yeah?
Groups of 3, yes. Groups of 3.
And for how long?
28 minutes plus 2.
Okay, thanks.
So everybody have about 8 or 9 minutes to practice. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I was also going to give you another trick, and that is that if you put your cursor, the way my screen shows your screen that you're sharing with us and everybody on the right is in gallery. You can change that gallery to the speaker, and then you can put your cursor between the two and drag it. So I just did that, and I dragged where I got the entire gallery, and your shared screen is really tiny, and then you can pull it back and your share screen takes up the whole screen. So there's a lot of little funny things. And thank you very much for always sharing, because I'm always learning new things with Zoom. Mahalo.
You're welcome. Okay, Jory, whenever you're ready, here's the instructions. They're now on the screen. So
okay.
Sharing. Oops, I gotta change something.
Chat as well, please.
Oh, welcome back. Glad to see you. I feel a little peppier while you were gone. I had a little something to eat, and that gave me a little bit more energy than I've had. And so what I would really love to hear right now is any feedback you have about the practice that you just did. And I see Beth and Dawn.
Yeah, I think we both had something to say. Go
Okay,
ahead, Don.
Well, okay, are we on?
Yep, you're
Yeah,
on.
it was a wonderful process, especially the feeling and the result that what we were judging about somebody else, once we get into more self-realization, oh, I have that, I do that. And the questions, as Jim put them up, was really nice to have those up there while we had the group and follow that through the process. So thank you both for, well, Beth, go ahead, say something.
Well, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you for having the questions. That made it very helpful and easy to go through the steps. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that that was really insightful for you. Thank you so much for your feedback. And Nikhilananda, our neighbor. Nikhilananda, do you want to share something? Your hand is up.
Nikhilananda, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. My computer is acting up when I hit the mute. It unmutes when I hit the unmute. It mutes. Yeah, I just had one word actually, and that is unique. I've never experienced anything like that. It was unique. So thank you for this invitation.
Okay. There's like a hanging shad there. All right. And another Maui neighbor, Nari.
Hello. So we found it interesting in our group that do you have the same judgment of yourself? In other words, is it okay to be disgusting or rude or whatever it was? I found that to be very like just juxtaposing, if that's the right word, because it doesn't occur to me sometimes that I have the same judgment that I have of somebody else, but it took me to a pretty deep level when I actually said, okay, so this person is blankety blank, but is it okay if I'm blankety blank too? So, but it didn't come up for me, or, you know, one of our other participants, when we're like, I don't really have that judgment about myself, but it was just an interesting phrasing of the word, of the way you're, I think, guiding us towards. So might be some feedback on what your intention is for us when we go that way. But I figure, because I know you so well, it's however we go, that's where we go. Anyway,
Yeah.
so it was an interesting direction that some of us went, and some of us went a different way with it. So it's good.
Yeah, thank you for your feedback, because we only see through 4 eyes between us. Thank you. And Juliana?
So what happened for me, Jim, was that I noticed that I kind of what I value and what I love. And I noticed that I was not receiving that value maybe from the other person. So in people who I mean, there were 2 people that came to my mind, some that I know very dearly and love very dearly. And so that person, I could literally, empathize with that person so much with, and I feel so much compassion for that person because I knew that person. All right. And receive that person, accept that person with their humanity, with their limitations, everything as a human being. But the person who I didn't know so well, there I could understand that the same need and value that I had was also present in the other person. And maybe because of the limitation, the person was behaving the way they were towards me. And I was able to accept that person with that limitation, but there was a distance still, like which was not love, you know. It was a form of love, which is acceptance, a kind of maybe a little bit distant form of love, which was acceptance, but not love. That's what I noticed.
Yeah. So what I appreciate is that you're pointing to how acceptance can also have other layers of feelings in associated.
Like acceptance is a first manifestation, I would think, of love, but it may not be, reach that absolute stage of love. You may want to still accept the person and from a distance, and yes, yeah.
Yeah,
but I should be aware of my value and the beauty of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of how open-hearted and how much energy happens when we see a beloved child and they come running up and giggling, as opposed to wandering down the street just next to someone that you don't really know as well.
Yeah.
So of course we have different ways of responding. But for me, at the heart of it is, can we grow a heart big enough to include and accept other people for their humanity, no matter what they're actually doing? We may not like what they do, or we may not connect deeply to it, but to be able to experience the shared humanity.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Joy. Yeah. Thank you.
And Francesca?
I think, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. It was a really, really powerful experience. The first person had a fantastic example, and we kind of learned. We kind of learned through being there as he walked through it.
Yeah.
And then, and then I did it, and then the last person said she understood it much better after having heard ours. So we grew together with it. It was really, it was very, very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a deep truth, that as we walk with people, we learn so much. And I'm so glad you had a good experience. Thank you. And that brings us to Preeti. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for this experience. It was very powerful for me too. And so my experience in this was that, like, I mean, as I pointed the lens to myself, kind of curved it back to myself, and so when I was having a judgment about the other person, and I was thinking of responding to the other person in a particular way, and then when I saw the same judgment, when I thought of myself having the same judgment about myself, and then coming to a point where I understood what's important for me and what was my need, and that brought me to another step further, and it made me feel about what would I want somebody else to respond to me in when I have this need. And so it brought me to a place where when now I will probably respond to that other person in a much more connecting and a more life-serving way, because now I know and I understand the other person and myself so much more better. That's just what I wanted to share.
Lovely. Shared humanity. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for pointing that out and sharing it. Then we'll go to Raf.
I see Ching Ching has her hand up. I don't see Raf's hand.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay. The view is changing from gallery to speaker. There she is, Ching Ching. Got it.
Hi, Tim. Hi, Tori. It's very impressive exercise. I love everything that Aaron said, and I would like to add something. I really love the thing that you asked us to specific the behavior that trigger us. I can see that when we specific the behavior is we separate the trigger from the person, and it creates a space between those. And it reminds me of the Viktor Frank's quote that he said, between stimulus and response, there's a space, right? And when we create the space, we can separate the behavior from that person. We can see that the thing is not that person, but it's the trigger itself that affect us. So when we can separate them, then we can be empathize the other person better, carrying to previous time.
It's such an important piece. We're not our behavior. We're so much more than that. And to be able to take that step back and see someone's humanity, or take a step back and see our own humanity in this situation. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for pointing that out. And now I see Juliana, your hand's up again.
I just became aware that the shared humanity part is that even I am not perfect, and I also have my limitations and imperfections. I realized that was the shared humanity. It may not, be the same thing as the other person, but I'm not perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Join the club. Yeah.
Thank you.
Even if we think we're perfect, perfect according to whom? According to what? Whose opinion? And for you, Margaret?
Perfect. We are all imperfectly perfect.
And for you, Margaret?
I'd like to share that in my group, I was very aware of time and rushed through the questions with the first person. And then one of the members really slowed us down, and it ended up that I was the second person sharing, but it was really slowed down. But focusing on the process as opposed to the outcome was much more profound, and we all learned a lot. And so even though we didn't get through everybody, it was a real learning experience and a gift, I know, to me, and I think to all of us. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Jennifer?
I just wanted to share some mourning for Juliana, that she's not perfect.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could actually laugh when we tell ourselves things like that? I'm not perfect, and we can have that shared humanity.
You didn't hear what I said. I said we are all imperfectly perfect. We are all perfect. So focus on the perfect part. Yeah.
Thank you.
With
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
With the little imperfections.
Yes. Okay. And that brings us to you, Preeti. Love to hear what you have to share with us.
Oh, I'm sorry. That must have been a mistake. I already shared.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see, because there's a pin there. Got it. Okay.
So
All right.
clear-
Anything else?
I think that clears the board. I want to read what, got a thumb back up here. Let's see here. Minako. Minako, by the way, for those of you who haven't met Minako, it's our second Zoom meeting today because we started the day in Japan. Minako is in one of the Japanese pods, and she's learning English, but she comes here every week and works with us in English, and has created incredible translation tools for herself. And I'm really glad to read what she wrote. I realize that I'm judging myself in the same way that I am judging others. When I connected to my own needs from that perspective, my judgment of the other person changed. It was an experience where specific actions to share those needs, make them resonate, became clear, and the judgment disappeared. Thank you for doing the work. And Jane wrote, I think I have a good idea. Let's all commit to be kind to ourselves from now on. Self-love is not selfish. It's not navel-gazing, narcissistic, or whatever other negative judgment we have been led to believe. We are one, and you and me and them. So if I love myself, I'm loving you and them too. Thank you, Jane. And I'm really touched by that. For me, it's like a journey from self-loathing to self-acceptance to self-compassion to self-care and self-acceptance. So I'm really glad to be on this journey with all of you. And Jory and I offer these little journeys into nonviolence every week on a compassionate giving and receiving basis. And so I'll put into the chat, I will put how you can send some money to support us and our mission. You can donate directly to the Center for Nonviolent Communication, of course, or you can, if you don't want to donate to them, you can give us the money. And at that link, you can find our mailing address for a check, or you can pay through PayPal. And my number one request for how you can support us is to buy my book, because the book is also a fundraiser. So there's a link to the recordings from the class, and on that same website there is information about the book. And here is an internationalshopping.com website that has a whole bunch of ways that you can order the book. If you don't like to Amazon, they did it alphabetically, so Amazon ends up being first on the list. But the second list, I ordered a book from them today, Book Depository, and they have free shipping internationally to 100 different countries. So hopefully you're in one of those 100 countries and you can get my book shipped to you for free. And my request is you buy as many of the books as you would joyfully like to give away to your friends during the holiday season here. Just the chance to give compassionately, give a gift. You can give them to your friends and your loved ones, and you can also give it to people that you wish really had more NVC skills.
Yeah. So imagine for Christmas, people getting something that could make their life more wonderful, to really help them grow and to find more peace and efficacy in their life. That's what this book can do. And that's quite a gift if you want to give it.
Thanks, Jory. I'm so fun doing this with you, and I really loved the questions. I mean the harvest today. It's so rich for me when we hear what you guys are taking away from the class. Next week, we will continue our journey with the 28 skills. We'll cover the skill that follows self-acceptance, which is called taking ownership of one's feelings. Taking ownership. So it's a perfect transition from this week to next week. So we'll be coming up with some new game to play to make life more wonderful for you. So thanks for being with us. And Troy, I'll try to just be quiet and let you have the last word today. What's in your heart?
Such a deep sense of appreciation for you, Jim, and all you do to help create this and being our voice, and appreciation for all of you who are joining us in this world of compassion for everyone. And starting with yourself, which is what we did today, and allowing it to blossom out into the rest of the world. So thanks for the connection, the community, support, and the love. And with that, we can all wave our hands and wave to each other. And those of you who would like to